So I just want to start by saying thank you to everybody who sent all these wonderful DMs, comments, all the support. I feel so lucky and blessed to have so many people that are so kind to me on this app. I'm super thankful for the opportunity that I got to represent so many of you parents out there that don't have a voice and you haven't found your voice yet to speak up and say anything. I'm super thankful that they chose me to be one of those people to represent us. What my thoughts were. My thoughts are crazy all over the place. I could probably do 20 TikToks with stuff that's going on in my brain since that podcast aired. But let me start by saying I just watched it last night for the first time. Now, keep in mind when I was talking, I was looking at Oprah. I was not paying any attention to my surroundings, who was sighing, who was rolling their eyes, who was huffing and puffing. I had no idea until I watched the podcast. So let's just say I was completely shocked to see little Miss Fancy Pants hospice nurse doing the side eye at me. I mean, I'm thinking you're a professional and you're on this platform looking like that. So I love that they left that in because it shows her true colors. So I was completely shocked. Watching it back, I didn't remember a lot of things, probably from my nerves. So I was able to process the podcast more, just like you guys, versus being there, because when you're there and you're nervous, you're not catching everything that everybody's saying. So my overall consensus is I feel like it was biased. There was tension in the room. There was tension at the hotel between estranged parents and estranged children, just like there is on this app. I feel like if Dr. Coleman wasn't there, it would have been extremely biased. I do feel like going into this, I had talked to the producer and said, hey, if I'm coming, I don't want to be attacked. I don't want therapists coming at me. I don't want estranged children coming at me. I get enough hate. I want this to be a neutral place. I don't want to be having anybody come at me. It's assured it's not going to happen. And for the most part, I don't think that they did. I do feel like Lindsay and Nedra, the two female therapists, used my TikTok video being a little aggressive. I don't want to ruffle some feathers to kind of at the end of the podcast, make it seemed like they were talking like in general that, well, parents need to realize if they have strong personalities, maybe they're not approachable. Like they were kind of looking at me as they were saying it. So I feel like they were directly talking to me, and that TikTok did make me look aggressive, but anyone that follows me knows that all of my TikToks aren't aggressive. I do feel like Oprah was pretty neutral. I don't feel like she swayed one way or the other, which was nice. I do wish there would have been more talk and more talk about children needing to take accountability for what they've done to their parents. You know, I feel like everything was leaning on the parents. What the parent has to do to change to be able to accept children this day and age, and, you know, everything that we needed to work on as a parent. And I don't feel like that was right. Do I think the podcast accomplished anything? No, I don't. What I'm hoping that the podcast did is bring awareness. I'm hoping that, you know, Oprah's platform and status will reach so many more people and bring awareness to just how big estrangement is. I think it's way more than 30% because it's such a silent thing that parents aren't talking about. And I really feel like if everybody talked about it and they did a, you know, poll on everybody and they actually said that they're estranged, I feel like it would be way higher. So I'm hoping that this brings awareness. So thank you everybody for all your support. I appreciate it.
She has me blocked, just so you know. I've never interacted with her. Not once, not ever. I don't comment on estranged parents' platforms. I don't. I just don't do it. In fact, I barely comment on anybody's platforms because I'm busy making content. And so I really don't I don't spend any time on it. And if you're wondering how I got this, well, I did. And it's my first time watching it. I'm really struggling with these bangs today. Just ignore me. Ignore my fussiness around my hair. I've been trying to do this thing on Oprah for like 2 hours now, and I've just given up. I'm just taking a different approach. Oprah did do something with this show. She caused a lot of damage. I think it's an absolute devastation to those of us who have grown up with emotional violence. Oprah on the show said something about, you know, the hashtag no contact is trending with all these adult sons and daughters, offspring, stating that their parent is toxic. It's simply fucking not true. No contact is trending as a hashtag with many of us sharing our experiences that led to us being no contact. And while some of us may refer to our parent as having toxic behaviors, being toxic people, being narcissists, being narcissistic, being borderline personality, all these different things, what's underneath all of that is that we are literally sharing our experiences, and it's creating this community of survivors of emotional violence, by and large, more than anything else, actually being recognized. We're able to see each other's scars and wounds for the first time in our life. And here's Oprah coming along talking about this hashtag attached to something without actually creating context around it. And then the next words that fall out of her mouth is, it's also being caused by an expanded definition of abuse. She can fuck right off with that. Fuck right off. Interesting that she's had over 3 million views in 5 days of time, and her comments are turned off because she really has no interest in hearing the truth behind what happens in the majority of these no contact relationships and the patterns of emotional violence that are behind a lot of the estrangements. The people that nobody else sees except for us who grew up underneath them. And so from that perspective, I just want to say she did a tremendous amount of damage. And I'm trying to figure out how to best break down the show and create commentary around it. And I didn't anticipate that this might be the way that I do that more than anything else. And of course she loves Joshua Coleman. He opens with, a lot of us were good parents. First of all, you're a therapist. We don't talk about people in terms of being good and bad and black and white. Shame the fuck on you. We worked very hard. They worked very hard. They were loving parents. They were loving parents. And he doubles down on some of the language that he uses. Of course she fucking loved that. I don't hear him talking about, and I don't remember the whole show. And if he did, I'll eat my words. However, I won't eat my words around the things I know he said, which that is his intro in the first few minutes of the show. Talking about meeting your children's physical needs is not the same thing as meeting their emotional needs. And he diminishes that. He says, some kids come back and say, I was going through depression and you didn't notice. Well, yeah. And who was causing the depression and who's responsible for noticing or not? I'm a mother of 3, a grandmother of 2. It's our job to recognize if our children are emotionally struggling, and providing a roof over their head and food in their bellies is not our only fucking job. Period. And then on top of that, he's taking away from the fact of, they're coming and accusing of this, but where did that depression come from? Is it from bullying at school? Is it from lack of support in the household? Is it from emotional abuse in the household? Where is it coming from? What's actually going on behind the scenes? She hates the hospice nurse. Unprofessional to have a facial expression since fucking when? And she was probably looking at you like that when you were saying it was just an argument with your daughter that created the no contact and it was really a minor thing. I bet you that's when you got the side eye. And you probably got it from everyone who was watching that screen who isn't like you. She has a great deal of difficulty with people who have an opposing point of view. That's why she hates the 2 female doctors, who actually really coddled her, in my opinion. They all fucking coddled her. And because she went in there all scared, I just want to make sure I'm not going to be attacked. AKA, also known as, I want to make sure you don't really question me and hold me accountable because I don't do that well. Don't remember what else she said. I am going to play more of her though. I have several of her videos. Even though she blocked me. Yes, I'm enjoying that a little bit. I'm a petty bitch today. I am snarky sparky beyond, because I've been trying to do this all day. And I think I'm frozen. I know I'm frozen. I'm frozen. I have covered all of these different estranged parents who were featured here. That's what's also interesting to me. And she's very upset with an estranged parent out there who stated, and I'll show the screenshot, that, Oprah wasn't an invitation. And I don't know that the other estranged parent was saying that. It's one of the ones that she really calls a hater because she has a different point of view about accountability. She's still not great, but better than this, I guess. But like, she's like, oh, how people got on the Oprah show was they filled out an application. She's like, I was invited. And no doubt, some people were invited and there was an ad out there. This is how they produce shows. Just because you didn't apply to an ad doesn't, so what? You were discovered. Oh, you want the credit? Oh, okay. Let's go on to the next one.
We're talking about the rapidly growing epidemic of estranged children who walk away from their parents. What are they protecting themselves from?
You know what? I'm over it. I'm over the idea that parents are supposed to sit around in emotional timeout until our kids decide we're worthy again.
And when somebody new in my life finds out that I've been no contact with them, without failure, the number one thing that they tell me is, but they're still your mom.
I'm not going to play any of Oprah's part of what she's saying because I think it's going to hit me up for copyright. This just reminded me, though, of going back to the original video that they were, they played the snippet of is her name Christy? Because she's like Curly something on TikTok. Anyway, she says, they take that one video, but that's not me. Most of her videos have that same tone. I've watched most of her content, unfortunately. Most of it has that same tone, that same angry, that same vitriol, that same pushing back, that same lack of self-awareness and accountability, that same, what the children are putting us through sort of vibe. And so, we don't know who you are. We only know who you show us you are. We don't actually know what your adult daughter went through. We do know based on your own words and how you put things that you diminish her. And you do it in different ways. My sons are fine. Well, yeah, no shit. Because you didn't treat them the way that you treat your daughter. That's why they're fine. They tell me I'm a good mom. Yeah, to them, I guess you are. To her, you weren't. Because if you were, you wouldn't be estranged.
So the general consensus is a lot of people on my platform didn't like the hospice nurse. And to be honest, I think they have every right to. See, I was really shocked because I was going to New York thinking that there was going to be a hospice nurse showing compassion for parents in the end of their life when they wanted to reconnect with their children.
So she really has a problem with the hospice nurse, eh? I've got my Canadian roots out here in Italy. Anywho, so I guess the hospice nurses, in her opinion, by the way, all her people, right? Well, her people are the estranged parents who, based on the comment section, I'll here give you some of comment sections on her page here. The hospice nurse would be problematic for all of these estranged parents because these estranged parents want their final word. That's the bottom line. And the hospice nurse does reach out to the estranged adult son's, daughter's offspring. She says it on the Oprah show. And how those adults decide they want to proceed is what is respected. Is she supposed to force their dying wishes onto their adult sons and daughters and offspring without her knowing what actually occurred in their life? Is she supposed to just blindly do that? Is that what she's supposed to do? For all she knows, I mean, if my grandfather had been in hospice and tried to reach out to me, she wouldn't have known that he CSA'd me. And she's supposed to force that upon me? She respects the wishes of the adults that she reaches out to on behalf of the adult she's caring for. She's doing exactly what's appropriate without any pressure on anyone. I can't think of a more professional way to behave than that. She's doing what she may be legally obligated to, or at least what she feels obligated to do. And the way that she represented herself on the Oprah show, I thought was beautiful and wonderful and respectful and kind and compassionate, empathetic, all of the things that I think that this person doesn't actually have. She's supposed to force somebody down somebody else's throat because they're dying. She said in one situation, the adult, I don't know if it was an adult son or daughter, refused completely. And I'm going off of memory, so if I misquote something or misunderstand something, by all means, call me out and I'll correct it. I'll correct it in another video even, because I'm not going to spend another hour and a half watching Oprah again. I just can't stomach it again. I'm like, I've been trying to make this video for literally 2 hours now on her, and I decided to go about it this way because it's just really setting my hair on fire. Oprah turned off her comments because she doesn't want to talk about what's really going on behind the scenes. She doesn't want to talk about the emotional violence. She's diminishing those of us who have been through horrific experiences that led to the no contact in the first place. And, it just is really so irresponsible and so disgusting what she's done here. If you want to make a show like this, leave the fucking comments on. Let people share. Anyway, there was a situation where the father really wanted to get a hold of their adult offspring. I don't know if it's a son or a daughter. And their offspring declined. And I don't know, I can't remember if that person clued her into why or whatever it was, but I got the sense it was a strong reaction. And so she went back to the father, who was disappointed, and said, well, you know what, you can write a letter. And he didn't write the letter. Why? Well, could it be because he wanted one last shot and he wanted the satisfaction? We'll never know. However, if he was really looking for peace and to make his adult offspring feel better, wouldn't he have written a letter? And I know that I feel very strongly that the part she takes exception with the hospice nurse is her recognizing that some of these parents are doing this as a manipulation and to take, a final shot. And I am paraphrasing on that. Let's carry on, shall we? Let's see what else she's got. I'm blind reacting on all of this. I haven't watched these videos, so we're all getting it for the first time.
Listeners showing compassion for parents in the end of their life when they wanted to reconnect with their children. So when they aired her TikTok on the podcast, I was floored. I had no idea that they had an estranged child that's a hospice nurse that was going to lack any kind of compassion for her dying patients. I went down the rabbit hole to her profile, and her whole platform pretty much is based off of dying hospice patients, their stories. It's so sad. So I was severely disappointed. So I was shocked to see that a hospice nurse has zero compassion for her dying patients. It's pretty sad.
So how is reaching out to their adult offspring of her dying patients zero compassion? Back your fucking words up. How is it? I'm going to cover in fact, I'm going to see if she'll come on the podcast. But she's your mother. If she doesn't, I'll feature her anyway, but I'm going to feature the hospice nurse and do a little bit of a dive in there. And we'll talk about some of her videos. I'm not going to cherry pick or anything like that. I don't cherry pick. I'm just going to go through, and I'm going to try to find the one that's from the Oprah show as well. And I'll play it in its entirety and we'll talk about it. Let's see what else little Missy has. She's like in a hissy. I'm Snarky Sparky has to say. Aaron Talk successfully proved EC right by voicing his self-reflection as Oprah crowned him hallmark of corrected parental behavior. And he nonchalantly agreed to EC no longer required to loving their parents like they used to. Oprah capitalized on it by congratulating EC for positive evolution through estrangement. Curly successfully represented all estranged parents as pouting, complaining, and always right. The ball fumbled horribly. These two TikTok creators were strategically chosen because they knew Curly would simply complain and Aaron would say whatever he needed to in order to get the applause. Kendall made a beautifully bold statement. I don't think so. However, they didn't want to give her the mic time because she would have schooled the audience. They knew exactly what they were doing when they chose these creators. Surprisingly, Kendall, it was the older male psychologist that actually spoke, only momentarily, to the parents' actual strife. So this is another estranged parent who this estranged parent dislikes because she is applauding Aaron's accountability. Again, I've covered all of these different estranged parents, I think even this one, and I've been covering like their profiles and things, but these ones that are out here like this, I'm just not going to go through the effort. It's more editing time for me and I'm over it at this point. So you guys can watch them, give them an audience. I don't care. Let's just not attack people. That's the only thing I'm asking. And I think from what I've seen, we're all pretty kind people. So anywhoosie, she's pissed off that this person came out and said like she wasn't chosen to be on the show. That's what this backstory here is. However, let's talk about Kendall a little bit. This person who went no contact with her son 2 years ago because he's abusive to her. And I hate to do this, but at the end of the day, their problem started 15 or 17 years ago. And he's, I think, in his 30s, from what I can tell, the son she's estranged from. And she is one of those estranged parents who talks about my way or highway, these dumbass kids, dumbass shit they say, this disrespectful kids. So it's pretty evident to show that she is no contact, maybe by her choice, but at the end of the day, he has probably come back in trying to look for some sort of accountability and repair and not gotten it. And I'm saying probably, and I'm basing that off of her own words and her own content, where she is constantly and consistently calling estranged adult children entitled, spoiled brats, that don't know shit, that don't know how to parent, that are dumb, that are like, she insults us right, left, and center and is really very vile about it. And her one question, which ended up being directed at Dr. Coleman, I think, was, why is it everybody applauds us, estranged adult children, daughters, sons, offspring, and not, and judge the parents? And he gave some lame, dumbass response to that. I can't even remember what it was because he's at this point so unworthy of my commentary. That's where I'm at. And if that sounds like I'm above him, well, I'm not above him. I just think that he is a very damaging individual. And I'm just over his rhetoric of calling adult children, adult sons and daughters were emotionally fragile without taking accountability of where that fragility may come from. And I wish that somebody had responded to her to say, and it's all up to Oprah, it's her show, to give the mic over, to ask about people's experiences. And right at the beginning of the show, there is an adult daughter saying, when I tell people that I'm no contact, they go, but she's your mother. Does that sound like a fucking celebration? You only have one mother. There's a reason for the name of my platform. We are judged as being bad sons, daughters, offspring when we go no contact. Like, what's wrong with you? That's your mother. We're not celebrated by and large. And back in the day, I hid it. Are you going home for the holidays? Well, my family's not really very close. I didn't tell people. I didn't want them to know what a horrible daughter I was. A failure at being able to have a relationship with my mother. And yes, I do think it's true that we judge the parents. However, I also think that judgment is earned. I am a parent. I have been estranged from my adult daughter back 20 years ago. We are close. We speak all the time. She asks me for parenting advice. We talk about the things that matter in my opinion, like we talk about her past experiences, my experiences. We have a beautiful relationship. Our communication, our respect for one another is everything that I could have ever wished for and more. And I had to repair that because I'm the one who parented her in such a way that I damaged that. She did not raise me, I raised her. And if we stayed estranged, that's my fault. Because even if she didn't give me the opportunity for repair, I am the reason that she walked away in the first place. She didn't grow me up, I grew her up. She came out of my body loving me unconditionally. I passed down trauma to her because I was 17 years old and didn't go to therapy, and it was my job to do better. End of fucking story. And that kind of accountability is the accountability that leads to repair. Worrying about how other people judge our situation is not helpful for our own well-being anyway. And so, I have to look at, and it's just dawning on me right now how this woman, Kendall, asked that question. Why is that your biggest concern, how other people look at you? Isn't that interesting? That was her. She has a panel of experts on estrangement, and that was her question to them. All about her and her image. Who's the fragile one? More Oprah. By the way, she has the soundtrack in the back of these comments. Who do you think you are? You know that song? I saw Oprah's clip on her account where she advertised it, asking guests to email if they wanted to be a guest. And her response in her comment to her, here we go. It's pretty sad when another estranged parent is so determined to try and smear other creators. I'm being a petty bitch, I know. Snarky Sparky. That's where I'm at. I remember something Charlie Brown told me when Cage Mission was coming after me. Maybe I should Google him. Her statement read, insecurity will always try to take their competition out. I'm not competition and nobody else is either. If you are truly here to help parents, why would anyone need to take out another creator trying to help others? Food for thought, Charlie. Who will your next target be? And she tags all of her fellow estranged parents who, walk the line. They're like children. This is I imagine this is what high school is. I wouldn't know. I didn't go to high school. Do you know why? Because I ran away at the age of 13. I guess I was trying to go no contact then with my mother. Let's see what else.
You think a nurse can make an adult child reconcile with a dying parent? What exactly do you think a nurse should do? What is wrong with you? For real. Why did you say that? Honestly. I did not say that. I did not say it's her job to reconcile children and parents. I didn't say that. You know what I've gathered from all of the comments that I've gotten from that video talking about her not having compassion is you guys see what you want to see. You hear what you want to hear. You make up shit that ain't even said. It's no wonder that no contact is such a rising trend because you guys just make up crap. You just make up crap that people say. She is not a compassionate nurse because she's biased. She is an estranged child and she's projecting her hate for her own father on the dying patients. And for her to have a TikTok platform and get on there and say that her dying patients are controlling and manipulating on their deathbeds, trying to manipulate their children. That is so horrible, despicable. How about let's not be judgmental and biased because you're an estranged child? That is horrible. That is horrible. And all of you people out there that don't think that's horrible, what is wrong with you? You lack empathy in your heart and you're absolutely freaking heartless. And some of these vile comments from you guys on that video is absolutely disturbing. And I am so glad that most of you are not in healthcare. And for the nurses that have commented saying that you support Nurse Hadley and that you think she's compassionate, I would hate to have you as a nurse.
She may not have spoken the words she thinks that she should, push the parents on the adult offspring. However, she sounds like that's her expectation. Nurse Hadley, I think her name is. Hadley? Wait, let's see if it says it, because I would like to give her credit for her name. Okay, I don't have it on here, but I will go through. I can't wait to deep dive into her. And we're going to play all the comments here, as you can see. She's allowed to state her opinion about her patients. She's doing it in a generalized way based on her observations. She's been a hospice nurse longer than she's been an estranged adult daughter. And she does state that. And she also, to my best recollection, stated that I saw this then and I see it now. Like, it wasn't something that she observed afterwards. She's been working in this dynamic and she's seen the theme of it. How does that lack compassion for her to state what she observes? I really don't understand it. Oh, it doesn't fit your narrative that at the end of their life, they're demonstrating the same behaviors towards their adult sons, daughters, offspring that they did when, they were connected to them? Because she is serving these patients, the way that they treat her also would indicate like she could define their behavior based on that. Huh? Okay. Wait, there's more. Snarky Sparky.
I have a question. I have a question for all of the people that are making negative comments about the people that were invited to go to Oprah podcast. So many of you are making negative comments and slamming the podcast, but I have a question. Why are you using clips from the podcast of the person that you despise so badly? Why are you using it on your platform? Why are you promoting it? Why are you pushing out content showing the podcast that you despise so badly? Just kind of curious. I knew that I was going to catch some flack when I went to Oprah. I knew I would, but I honestly didn't expect so many creators to kind of be backstabbing. So I'm just curious. Why are you using Oprah's content? Why are you using the podcast to promote on your page, to get clicks and views and talk about it on your page when you can't stand Oprah so bad? And you think it was a bad decision for us other content creators to go and accept the invite that we got? Help me understand this, please.
Oh, I'll be happy to help you understand that. Again, I'm blind reacting to all of these. We have to talk about this Oprah show because she single-handedly, to over 3,100,000 plus viewers, so it's gone up by 25,000 since I started making videos today. She single-handedly diminished, invalidated, and didn't expand upon what emotional violence looks like and what the real reasons are behind us saying things like toxic parent or behavior. She misrepresented what estrangement is through not questioning people like her appropriately and effectively and by coddling you. When you went on and talked about the fact that everything was great, everything was great. We even got family tattoos. Like, here's the picture. I think I can use that. Of the back of it. Like, we went on vacation trying to point it, paint it like this happy family. And then and saying my daughter's a college graduate and I love my daughter and she's beautiful and all these things. I mean, you're covering your ass in that because the way that you talk about estranged adult sons and daughters, offspring in your videos, that's your opinion of your daughter. Otherwise, you wouldn't be talking about us the way that you are. That's what I think. Why would you look at us who are estranged as the offspring any differently than you look at your daughter? Oh, because you love her. You reposted, your clip on the Oprah and put, I love my daughter with a heart, trying to soften what we know you to be based on your content. We're forming an opinion about you based on what you're showing us. What else can we do with what you're doing? And so then you go on to state, we had a fight. It wasn't serious. It wasn't a big deal. And she just can't resolve conflict. And the only thing that Oprah could say back to you is, well, maybe it was a big deal to her, but not to you. Instead of saying, can you share with us what the fight was about? Oprah never pushed for the answers. And like, she said at the beginning of one of the clips that I showed, she was scared about being attacked. No, you were afraid of being held accountable. You can't if you can't do it when you go on a show like Oprah, you just want to be on the show for your own gratification. You are not interested in expanding our view on what is behind the scenes related to estrangement. You just want to push your narrative, which is why you only liked Dr. Coleman, because he supports your narrative. And I have to say, oh my gosh, I keep forgetting her name. I feel so bad. Both of their names, both of the other doctors, the one who wrote Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, they were so constructive and so sensitive to the parents. And I think that that's a good thing. I don't think that we need to, attack people. I don't think there's anything around that is constructive. And even with the way that they so carefully packaged that we need to look in the mirror, we need to take accountability, we need to understand, and all of these things. I'm a parent, right? You feel attacked by that. Like, can you imagine the eggshells that this person needs their sons and daughter to walk on? If she feels attacked by what they were saying, because that's what it looks like, and even the way that she's like, I was picked to go on the show. Like, what? And the side eye of that nurse is unprofessional. Look at her level or lack of emotional maturity. And Oprah did, I think, a disservice to us all on all sides. Emotional violence is insidious, and it is, in my opinion, the biggest common denominator of all the abuses related to this time, to us being estranged. I'm not going time. I'm 30 years no contact. And I can tell you, I didn't go no contact with my mother because of any of her physical violence. I mean, she dropped me out of a 2-story window when I was 6 years old. I went no contact because of the emotional violence. And I more specifically went no contact because she was she was triangulating my very young children. And I did it to protect them from the abuse that I saw that was going to unfold and what was happening in those moments in time. The things that she was teaching my daughter to keep secrets and all that sort of thing. I didn't actually go no contact for me. And my story is not unique in that way. Anyway, what do you all think? I'm going to play, I think, I'm going to do another video. We're going to do another video on the other estranged parent that got her like 1 minute in the sun. She must have been so excited about that. Because I think it's, I came across it and anyway, I'll see you in a minute. Well, not really. I'll see you tomorrow because I will post this today and there'll be another video tomorrow.
I've been basically fully no contact with my parents for the last 3+ years. And when somebody new in my life finds out that I've been no contact with them, without failure, the number one thing that they tell me is, but they're still your mom. Like, no fucking shit. And I hate when people say that shit because why is it always on the child? Yes, I'm fucking grown and an adult now, but why is the blame always put on me and not a reflection of the parents themselves? And I'm not the only one who experiences this. I know multiple other people who have got no contact with their parents and they get, without failure, the exact same response every time. What I think those people fail to understand is that it is not the first choice. Like, that is not the go-to thing that people do if they have an argument with their parents. It takes so much leading up to it for somebody to cut off the people that are supposed to be their number one supporter. Yet still, it's never a reflection of, oh, what did the parents do so bad that made their kid have to do this to protect their own peace? Me, along with everybody else I know who has been in this situation, put themselves through hell just to protect their own peace to get out of that toxic household. And it was not easy by any means whatsoever, but I do not regret that decision. I just think people need to take a look at the full situation before actually making an assumption, because why is it actually on the child? Like, that makes no sense. Agree or disagree, let me know in the comments.
You know what? I'm over it. I'm over the idea that parents are supposed to sit around in emotional timeout until our kids decide we're worthy again. And you should be too. No, absolutely not. I spent years groveling, explaining, apologizing, walking on eggshells for someone who wouldn't respond to me at all. I've owned my mistakes. I went through therapy. I swallowed pride that could fill a football field. And guess what? That still wasn't enough. So here's the new rule. I love my kid, but I'm done chasing him. He wants peace? Great. So do I. He wants distance? Perfect. I'm giving it to him with interest. We shouldn't stop living just because our kids decided to play ghost. They don't get to erase us and still rent space in our heads for free. We're all going to live large, lovely, and in color. And if that sounds cold and unrelatable, it just means you haven't gotten there yet. But when you do, you'll understand, because nothing feels better than waking up one day and realizing that their silence doesn't hurt anymore. Comment peace if you're finally done begging for a relationship that you didn't break alone.
So I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this one, but I don't care. So I'm going to address a comment that repeatedly gets commented on my posts and other people talking about estrangement. And it's the comment that says, your children are not estranging from you to hurt you. They're doing it to protect themselves. I call BS. What are they protecting themselves from with us? Loving parents who've always supported them, loving parents who's always, done everything in their power to be there for them, who financially has supported them, who has went out of their way and put their life on the back burner for their kids. What are they protecting themselves from? I know there are true, legit cases of abused children, ECs that genuinely need to walk away, but we're not talking about those. We're not talking about that percentage. We're talking about the rapidly growing epidemic of estranged children who walk away from their parents, and they walk away with no communication. Yes, I know that there are kids that have tried to talk to their parents. I'm well aware, but we're not talking about them. We're talking about the big ones that shut their parents out, don't tell them why, won't communicate. They're protecting themselves, but not from us. They're protecting them so they don't have to be accountable for anything that they've done. So they don't have to sit down and have an adult conversation, have a hard conversation with their parents. They don't have to take any responsibility for anything that they've done. They walk away from anyone and everyone who tries to hold them accountable. It's easier to walk away. So I call BS on that comment. So, ruffle some feathers? I don't care. That's the truth. So I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this one, but I don't care. So I'm going to address a comment that repeatedly gets commented on my posts and other people talking about estrangement. And it's the comment that says, your children are not estranging from you to hurt you. They're doing it to protect themselves. I call BS. What are they protecting themselves from with us? Loving parents who've always supported them, loving parents who's always, done everything in their power to be there for them, who financially has supported them, who has went out of their way and put their life on the back burner for their kids. What are they protecting themselves from? I know there are true, legit cases of abused children, ECs that genuinely need to walk away, but we're not talking about those. We're not talking about that percentage. We're talking about the rapidly growing epidemic of estranged children who walk away from their parents, and they walk away with no communication. Yes, I know that there are kids that have tried to talk to their parents. I'm well aware, but we're not talking about them. We're talking about the big ones that shut their parents out, don't tell them why, won't communicate. They're protecting themselves, but not from us. They're protecting them so they don't have to be accountable for anything that they've done. So they don't have to sit down and have an adult conversation, have a hard conversation with their parents. They don't have to take any responsibility for anything that they've done. They walk away from anyone and everyone who tries to hold them accountable. It's easier to walk away. So I call BS on that comment. So, ruffle some feathers? I don't care. That's the truth.